Drivers clipped the other. They ended up in a parking lot and each had a gun.
One of the men had his two very young children in his car. They saw it all. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has the tragic details.
It could have been so incredibly simple, but unfortunately we have two people who lost their lives instead.
What started out as a simple traffic collision ended with two frustrated drivers shooting each other. A violent end to yet another case of road rage on SoCal freeways.
We all get angry on the road sometimes, especially these days. There's so much traffic out there and so many things going on. But this is a great example of how things can go wrong so quickly.
It started out on the 210 freeway on Saturday evening in Highland. A guy riding his motorcycle, lane splitting, accidentally clipping the side of another car. But that motorcyclist didn't stop, and the driver he hit decided to take off after him. The pursuit lasting for about half a mile, ending in this parking lot on Baseline.
When they arrived in that parking lot, the man in the sedan, the suspect, began yelling at the motorcycle driver. They became confrontational. They were both armed, and a shooting occurred, and both of them ended up deceased at the end of the night.
What's even more shocking, deputies say the driver of the sedan had his two small kids in the back seat.
And a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old were in the back seat of the car. Thankfully, neither of them were injured.
But because of all of this, they no longer have a father.
That's correct.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
Shalom, and giving all praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah B'Hashem HaRachachodash, saying double honors to our apostles and elders, very great millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. Yeah, I saw that when it was posted, and it's a shame, but you hear stories like this all the time, and it's all because lack of self-control and those who don't understand the importance of being slow to wrath and to think with a cool head. All right. As you see this sign here, it says anger is only one letter short of danger. Now, in the English language, that's actually pretty revealing, because yes, where there is anger, there's very likely to be danger. And it could come from both sides, either receiving it or dishing it out. And it's very true. And depending on what can happen, what can occur, it can resolve in people getting hurt and or lives lost, especially in a sense of where foolish sense, where after the fact, it could be, depending on how it went down, it can repent of whoever it is that lost his control and gave in to his anger. Well, afterwards, you see the damage that was done, or you see what was caused, and it can lead to that one repenting of itself, and just saying within itself, maybe I could have done that better had I just stayed calm, or had I not acted or did the way I did. And that's where wisdom comes into play. And, all this can be found in the scriptures, but because it's very true. When I saw that video, I was like, see, that's the thing about that road rage. For one, is real. And for two, people, especially Jake, but it's not just Jake, it's Esau too. But people, because they have access to a gun, which that gun is to them an accessible way to pacify their anger or their frustration. The moment they get angry or upset, in their mind they know, hey, look, I have access to this tool that can pacify my anger. And a lot of guys and a lot of people out there, because they're just wicked or they're hot-headed, a lot of them, really wicked, drive with the intent to do harm. They're out there driving, and because they have a weapon, they don't care that they driving like an idiot. They don't care if they holding up traffic, because they say, I got a gun. I've seen it personally. I've seen two Jakes go at it. There was a Jake that pulled up to the light next to another Jake, and he had his homeboy in the car. They both had homeboys in the car. and in the front seat they had the windows down, but the one Jake pulled up next to him just to say, "Hey man, you need to learn how to drive." He was getting on about his driving. So then that Jake, he just casually brandishes his gun. But that didn't stop the other Jake. They were still talking. But the light turned green and wouldn't neither of them move, right? So the person behind them honked. And he took the time just to brandish his weapon again and said basically, shut the F up. And right then and there, that's when I realized, I said, so these guys will literally go driving like an idiot on purpose because they have a gun. And if you correct them or rebuke them, and the horn is just another form of rebuke. You can nowadays blowing your horn at somebody is enough for them to shoot for real, because these people are so weak-minded and easily sensitive, right? And they don't like correction. They don't like rebuke. Nobody in the world likes rebuke. So if you rebuke them in some type of way, whether it's a horn, right, raising your fist, whatever, road rage or whatever, they're looking for a reason to just take your anger out because they have access to that gun. And they have access to a weapon to say, okay, well, I can now, I don't have to think. I can just easily give in to the impulses because I can easily pacify my anger and let it out on somebody who tries to rebuke me. And nowadays, just honking your horn at somebody can actually lead to something happening because these people are mentally weak, right? Especially if you hold it. So yeah, you gotta remember that danger is only one letter short of anger, and it is important. It's important to know the scriptures, and especially in this wicked ass society we live in now, okay, with these wicked ass people out here, things can go down real easy. The book of Sirach, chapter 8, verse 10 says, "Kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest thou be burnt with the flames of his fire." So there's times in wisdom where you have to realize, even in the scriptures talk about not to go back and forth with a fool when you know that the man's just a fool, because it said, "Lest thou be found like him," meaning you're trying so hard to prove this fool wrong, but you end up looking like a fool for even engaging in the discussion with the guy anyway, because he's not gonna see it because he's a fool, right? There's times where even though somebody is wrong, you just gotta just let them go, or let them think they got it, let them have it, because you got the perception to say, okay, this guy's a sinner, right? None of these people in the world like rebuke. And some of these people out here, these wicked individuals, they just know that they're in the wrong, and they waiting for somebody to try to correct them or rebuke them in some way, just so they have justification to do something. Get carnal, fight, shoot, whatever it is, Like nowadays, people don't fight no more. And there's tons of videos out there, but there's a video of another road rage incident. This guy pulled up behind another guy, hops out, walks to the guy's car in front of him with the bat, right? But the moment the guy opened his door, the dude took off running back to his car, because obviously he came out with a gun. And as he ran back, he shot him, But not only that, he walked up to him and emptied the clip on him to ensure, like, yeah, you're dead, right? And of course, he got locked up because that's actually murder. The guy, because telling these people when they ride with their weapon, especially if they got their gun, they're not using it for defense. They're using it for offense, for rebuke. I mean, not even for rebuke, but for those who maybe try to rebuke them, whatever it is. That's why you got to pray once you hit that road, because I hate driving. It's like you like driving because it could be an enjoyable experience, but you hate driving because you have to deal with demons on the road. Always put up prayers that you can get to your destination safely and avoid, drive defensively out here. Everybody's on their cell phones. Nobody's paying attention anymore. You got demons on the road. Okay. They don't like rebuke. So you call yourself holding your horn to somebody to really make them feel it. hey, just be mindful of these type of people out there, man. You know, I've seen people I know, I can just tell. I'm like, this dude's driving like a complete idiot on purpose, just to see if somebody is going to honk or pull up beside him or something, just so he could be justified, you know, and I don't know, showing his weapon, shooting, whatever it is, man. So you just got to remember that anger is using the English language, right? Anger is just one letter short of danger, right? And so where there's anger, there's more likely there could be danger. So sometimes you just gotta let these sinners go. Okay, it's like wisdom, and you know, you even though you know you right, and you maybe this dude or maybe this person just wants to get the last word, and they're being challenged, whatever it is. If it look, you know, don't think you being a punk, right, in those situations, because you gotta perceive to understand, like, okay, all right, this guy's just a demon, right? Verse 11, it says, rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap thee in thy words. So you got to have self-control, because if you rise up in anger in an injurious person, they could be getting you roused up with the intent to get you to say something or do something stupid so they can use it against you. All right, this is where wisdom comes into play. So the bottom line is, you got to watch that anger. Now, anger is a natural emotion that we all have, and that doesn't mean that you're going off if you defend yourself or you get mad or anything like that. But it's certain situations like that right there. With the situation with the Jake, I mean, here it is. He had two of his kids in the back seat, but he wanted to chase that man down. Okay, and the only reason he did it is because he knew he had access to that weapon, and that weapon is like a easy access tool for him to pacify his anger. You know, it's like, just like, you know, like an Edomite. For all we know, it's probably the Edomite. Could have been an Edomite. They don't tell you who. You probably can look it up, but if you, let's just say, you know, it could have been Jake or whatever the case is. But you hear stories like that all the time. Look, there's a story of you can look this up, in Memphis. No surprise, Memphis. This black woman, demon, because this other elder Jake woman, she felt that she cut her off in traffic. She followed her for like 30 freaking minutes just to shoot at her car. That's what she did. Now, why does she do that? One, because she's a demon, but two, because she had access to that weapon. And she's literally driving with the wanting to get mad, wanting to get angry, just so she can let it out. See? So indeed, where there is anger, there's a very strong chance that there is danger. Book of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 18, it says, pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman. You know what they're talking about? They're talking about those who are emotional, maybe raised in single mother homes. They got no control of their emotions. They're like a female, right? They're sensitive. They, you know, like I said, they act and move just like a female. The only difference is they're a man, and you know, men have the power, have more strength and power, right, to do damage. So you're dealing with emotional, weak men out here. It's a lot of them too. Single mothers. You just know a child or a young man or young teen that's grow up in a single mother home. Okay, he has no discipline. He has no control over his emotions. He just gives in to his impulses. Because again, where there is anger, there's a strong chance that there will be danger. There's stories like that all the time. The book of Psalms 37, verse 8, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. Right? So cease from anger and forsake wrath. You can't let those two emotions control you. They have their place and justification in their times. But in this society we live in, especially just the wisdom in general, The scriptures talk about being slow to wrath, slow to anger. That's really godliness, right? There's a story of Jake where they was playing basketball, and he lost. Right, they was playing teams. He lost, but the other team, rubbing it in, talking shit. You know how Jake get down. So what does he decide to do? He decides to go back to his car and shoot at them. But in doing so, he hit a bystander, right, who was just watching the game, wasn't playing, but he got hit in the crossfire. Of course, they locked him up. The guy survived, but you already know, according to the cop, when he was in that cell, he just kept pacing back and forth, saying, "Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that?" Right? Because when you cool down after the fact, when the damage is done, you see that it wasn't wise, and it's all because at that moment he felt the need to give in to his anger and to give in to his impulses. It's just like it was like a scene from White Man Can't Jump. What happened when they hustled Jake, and he felt that he got hustled. He said, "I think y'all hustled me." What did he do? He started walking to his car, and what did they do? They got the hell out of there. You got people like that. Some Jakes don't like to lose, in certain things. Man, we've all known, because we gamers, right? I'm a gamer. Man, growing up, there was plenty of guys where you just knew that if he lost, it's gonna fight. I had to deal with Jakes like that. You beat him in a boxing game or a video game, and not only that, but you rub it in. That could lead to fighting, man. Jake fight over games. Jake will fight over football, a Madden game, a soccer game, them FIFA games. Oh, forget about it. You can look up all kind of rage people have over those games. Look, there's been fightings and shootings at Madden tournaments, and one of them was done by a so-called Jew. Got mad because he lost to Jake. What did he do? Went back to try to shoot the guy. Yeah. It's all around us. But the scriptures talk about being slow to anger, and that really is godliness, right? You have to have control over your emotions, and you have to know when you have to know when and how to express maybe your anger, Proverbs 14:29. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. And that is a case of that guy who went and tracked down that motorcyclist, and next thing you know, they both end up dead. And now there's two kids with no father. Now, we ain't got that much time left anyway. There's some toddlers, but how would that feel as they get older to say they lost their dad because he got mad in a road rage incident, when he could have just simply vented his expression, his frustration, and just drove on to the place, man, drove on home. You see how simple discipline, how simple actions of controlling your anger can prevent problems, can prevent things from happening. A lot of people lose their life every day over simple stuff, over stupid stuff, and it's all because somebody did not have the understanding or the wisdom to either take the low, to walk away, or not to kindle the coals of the center, right? To not have control over his lips. That's why Scripture says death and life are in the power of the tongue. That right there has claimed more lives. So the Lord said, "Be like me, for I am holy, to be holy even as I." He's teaching us to be like him. And one of the godly traits of the Most High is that he is slow to wrath. Okay? That's a godly trait. Proverbs 16. Verse 32, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Right? And there's a lot of strength in having self-control and ways to filter your anger. And being angry, as our scripture says, be angry and sin not. So it's not wrong to be angry, but you got to make sure you are dealing with that frustration appropriately, you know, because you hear a lot of people lose their lives over something stupid, simple stuff every day, over something stupid. Okay, and that's just because they lack wisdom, they lack self-control, they lack discipline. And you as well, like I said, you just got to remember out here, all right, you could be, danger's all around you. You're going to always find yourself in situations where there can be confrontation. And you have to have the understanding to know sometimes, plenty of times at camp, we done dealt with demons. And you just know that this man's a demon. And you just know, like, if I say this, if I answer back or speak according to this tone, right, something's going to go down. You just know. So what do? You say, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna let this nigga go, right? So you know how to pacify the situation, or you may just ignore them, tempting as it may be, because people will test you, they tempting you, they challenging you, and the flesh of you want to say, okay, you know, you might want to give in, but you just say, you know what, it ain't worth it, you know, it ain't worth it. There was plenty of times. Look, there was a time at camp. And it's been a minute, but there was a Jake that came at camp, such a disturbance. I mean, a real, just no good nothing. And he was disturbing the camp. And it's been a while, but that was the first time in a long time where I actually wanted to get carnal with somebody. I wanted to turn the camera off and just go to town on this guy, you know. But I said, nope, I'm teaching. Just let this nigga go, put up a prayer, get this nigga out of here. You know, he brought a curse upon himself. But it's been a while since I actually felt the need to actually say, okay, you know what? But imagine, you know, but those situations, those encounters are endless. So if you constantly just give in over and over, you're not going to make it in this life. You're not going to make it in this society currently. It's wise, you know, and that don't mean just be no punk neither. But just understand, where there is anger, more than likely there is danger, and wisdom can deliver you from a lot of those situations. And a lot of times it's going to be on the receiving end. You know, even the book of Sirach says he was delivered because of these things. It's talking about wisdom. Right. Sirach 34 and 12. Well, I'll start at 11. When I travailed, I saw many things, and I understood more than I can express. I was oftentimes in danger of death, yet I was delivered because of these things. Right? And what is he talking about? Wisdom. And remember, anger is just one letter short of danger. So where there is anger, chances are there is danger. And in this wicked ass society, scriptures tell us that we're walking in the midst of our overthrowing. So it's like we're on eggshells around here. So the wisdom will deliver us countless times, and so we can get through this. So just, you know, when you hear stories like this, you know, these senseless killings, senseless acts of violence due to anger, use the time to examine the situation and say, okay, this could be avoided. It could have been avoided this. So the next time it happens to you, you know, have that self-control, because that road rage, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. I mean, I'm always cursing up a storm when I'm riding, but I ain't never chased nobody down, right? Right? And some people will actually follow you, okay? That can happen. So just be mindful out here, okay? These people are demons, okay? They're looking for a reason to release their anger, right? And the wisdom is what's going to protect us so we can move in wisdom to avoid these situations, Lord's willing. With that, I was edifying. Shalom.